Hey everyone, David here. Severance is back. The Lorehounds are partnering with Properly Howard to bring you in-depth weekly coverage of Season 2. Join me, John, Anthony, and Steve as we unpack every twist, theory, and revelation. We've created a dedicated feed just for our Severance coverage. Simply search for Severance Lorehounds in your podcast app, or find the direct link in our link tree. Our weekly episodes dig deep into the show's mysteries, themes, and bigger questions about identity and consciousness that makes Severance so compelling. Season Pass and regular community subscribers get ad-free access to our weekly episodes, plus exclusive content like our Supply Closet bonus series, featuring fascinating conversations with experts like the team from Nevermind the Music. We've explored the neuroscience of memory and personality, decoded the hidden meanings in the show's musical themes, and there's much more to come. You'll also get Steve and Anthony's complete Season 1 rewatch series. We believe in total transparency with our listeners. And unlike mammalians nurturable, we're happy to share all of our secrets. Find the link for the Severance feed in the show notes below, or search Severance Lorehounds wherever you get your podcasts. Come theorize with us about what's really happening at Lumen.
And remember, the episode you think you're about to hear is merely a reflection of the episode that thinks it's about to be heard.
Hello and welcome to the MCUniverse with Comics vs. a Lorehounds podcast. I'm Elysia.
And I'm Jean, and this is our reaction to the newest MCU movie, Captain America: Brave New World.
We'll start with our spoiler-free hot takes for anyone who hasn't seen the movie yet and wonders if they should, and then give you a warning and a commercial break before we get into our spoilery breakdown.
But still, we reserve the right to talk about spoilers from any Marvel comic or MCU movie or TV show that has come before. So you've been warned.
Stick around until the end for news about the network and a chance to be part of future podcast discussion. And yeah, so we are gathered here today to talk about Captain America: Brave New World.
Oh, it sounds like a funeral.
Yeah, it was supposed to feature a funeral, but it kind of felt like it. Anyway, originally this movie is called New World Order. They changed that for political reasons. Don't disagree. It is technically the fourth Captain America film after the first Avenger in 2011, The Winter Soldier in 2014, and Civil War in 2016. But it's a new Cap. And you don't really have to have seen any of these because this one's actually more of a direct sequel to The Incredible Hulk from 2008. That's the one where Edward Norton played the Hulk, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which became Captain America and the Winter Soldier by the end in 2021. And yeah, we're going to be talking about this as if people haven't seen the trailer. So we're not going to talk about things with Ross's character at the end because the trailer does include major spoilers. But Jean, what's the log line for this?
So, Sam finds himself in the middle of an international incident after meeting with President Thaddeus Ross. He must soon discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. And there we are.
So, spoiler-free hot takes. What did you overall think of this film, Jean?
I have issues with the film. I've got issues with
You
Cap.
don't say. Oh.
Yeah, I've got issues with Cap. I'm not saying this was, a terrible movie, because it wasn't terrible, but just some of the choices that they made in regards to Captain America's uh, character, the reason of his entire existence in this movie is just, to me, felt wrong. Um, and that's and I just can't get away from it. I can't get away from this Captain America not being what I want him to be.
Hmm. What do you want him to be?
I want him to be more honest
Hmm.
about what the world is like.
Mm.
And I understand the change in title because
Mm-hmm.
this movie wants to be hopeful,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, but I think they should have kept the title that was original, and maybe the
Well,
movie would have been different.
yeah, but the reason they changed the title is because the phrase New World Order is linked to really extreme right-wing propaganda, so I get that. But Brave New World is also the name
Yeah,
of a dystopian novel.
yes.
So
But
yeah.
I see, but when I say it's more hopeful, I see what their attempt to do with the framing of how Captain America sees this world, this universe,
Mhm.
and the way he interacts with it. So it is, to me, a more hopeful thing. And I just don't I didn't appreciate, and this is not against Mackey's acting, because I thought
Mm-mm.
he did well,
Mhm.
but it's more of how they want to have Mackey portray the character.
Mhm.
And I'm just not down with it. And we'll get
Mhm.
into it when we hit the spoilers, but that's my overall thing. I was very disappointed in who Sam Wilson is in this movie and what he kind of represents. Um, yeah, and I can't get away from it. I just can't. I'm trying to. I try to, but I just can't. And as far as everything else in the movie goes, the action sequences were perfectly fine for me. They had some fun moments. There was a lot of there are some things that don't make sense as to who and where
Mhm.
certain characters are not. Um, we'll talk about that in the spoilers. So there were things that I did not understand why, you know, were being withheld almost, like
Mhm.
hidden away in some pocket universe, and it just didn't feel right to me. Um, I thought Thaddeus, General Ross was really good. I thought Harrison Ford was fine. I had thoughts that he wouldn't be. I didn't know what to expect from him in the role, and I thought he did fine. Um,
Mhm.
so I enjoyed his Thaddeus Ross. I don't think it did a disservice to the character, or he did a disservice to the character. Um, there are there's one particular character I had no affinity for. I don't know why she was in the movie at all.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I know who you mean.
yeah,
Oh, wait,
so
I'm not sure. There's actually 2 options.
yeah, there's two options, but
Yeah.
there's one that I was just like, what is she doing here? Why is she
Mm.
here? And does she? Yeah, why does she even exist in this movie? Like, what's the
Mhm.
point of having this person, this character, involved in any manner?
Mhm.
So there are things that I definitely didn't like, but again, just if you want to take positives,
Mhm.
I think they did well with the action sequences. I think some of the costuming was well done. Um, yeah, and that's really, and let me just say, I forget the actor's name, but Joaquin was really good
Mhm.
in
Yeah,
this
Danny
movie.
Ramirez. Yeah.
Thank you. He was really good. I think he was
Yeah.
one of the bright spots, definitely in this entire film. So
Yeah.
I want to see more of that guy, but I don't
Mhm.
even know if we're going to see more of that guy
Oh,
going
we
forward.
have. Um, I mean, I think, yeah, he's definitely was the best part of this movie, so, um, what was your theater experience?
Very muted.
Very muted, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
very muted.
Yeah, so I ended up seeing this movie a week later than I intended just because of other stuff. And I tried to avoid spoilers, but I just saw no spoilers, which is kind of weird. So it just told me that there wasn't buzz. It was just, and the responses that I've seen have been like, yeah, okay, okay. My theater was also very muted. Um, it livened up at a certain cameo, but that's, yeah, we'll get to that. I think overall the film looked pretty enough. There was some really interesting close-up camera work on some of the actors' faces that I found noteworthy. But and I think there was this cherry blossom setting. It was set in DC during cherry blossom season, and that became
Hmm.
part of the plot. And I
Yeah,
think that was a good idea, but they just really, it was really clunky the way that they used it.
yeah,
And that was kind of the problem with the whole thing. Felt really cut apart and pasted back together, and then it felt like they left all of the interesting bits on the chopping room floor.
yeah,
Um, I think just it was just too safe and too corporate.
yeah. That's a great way to put it. That's a
Yeah.
great way to put it.
I don't know, Jean, have you listened at all to the official Marvel podcast?
I have not. I have
No,
not.
I mean, I can't.
I didn't want to listen to anything until we
Yeah.
did our.
No, I mean, I honestly can't really recommend it because it's just very clearly scripted. Like there's no personality coming through, just very, it feels like AI could have written the podcast and
Oh
used the
wow,
voices.
wow,
Um just I think it's just this extreme want to control things, and that's what I'm feeling in this film also.
wow. Okay.
Um I don't know. This is not another Secret Invasion for me, but it's one of my lowest rated MCU movies. Definitely. I
I didn't. I
think,
haven't even thought about where I rank it.
yeah. I mean, I'm a Marvel girl. Like I am kind to MCU movies, but this one actually, I have to be honest, I gave it 2 stars out of 5.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't quibble with that. I
yeah.
wouldn't quibble with that. I might go half a star
Mm-hmm.
higher
Two and a half.
than
I thought maybe 2.5, but then I don't know. I was just kind of like, am I even going to remember this? I don't know. I did struggle to stay awake a little bit toward the end, despite it being the middle of the afternoon when I saw it. Um, but I also have to say, Cap was never one of my favorite characters to begin with. I mean, it's fine. And I'm not as bad as you, but I'm not like, I'm no Mackie super fan. Like, it's like, he's fine. I've seen him do good things. I'm not saying he doesn't have talent. I'm just not like,
Are you not a fan of Mackey's Captain America or Captain America, period? Chris Evans' Captain America.
I mean, it's not that I'm not a fan of either. I just am not like,
A
it's
fan of
not,
the character.
yeah, it's just, all these other characters are going to turn my head more. Like when it came to the original um, Avengers lineup, Captain America was probably my least favorite, not in like a negative way, but just in I like the other ones better way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel that way about Anthony Mackie too. Like I don't dislike him, but I don't know. He's fine. Um, I think, okay, so the New York Times, they wrote the only wisps of tangible political intrigue to be found were either unintended or from allusions to previous subject matter in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I think that's spot on, that the best bits of this were when they were referring back to the other TV show, which had its own problems, but at least had a bit more, tried to dig a bit more beneath the surface.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, let me just say one thing. The treatment of Carl Lumbly, Isaiah,
Hmm.
was
Yeah, we're going to get into that for sure.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 And there was so much expository dialogue, which is again goes back to what I was saying about this feeling that this is, and we know for a fact this has been cut apart and pieced back together and
right.
just kind of sucked out of the meeting. But as you were saying, yeah, Denny Ramirez, who played Joaquin Torres, aka the new Falcon, definitely the best on-screen charisma. I was like, please give this man some good lines. Like he's doing his best with what he's got, but come on, we can do better for him. Okay, but now that we've shat upon it, me especially, I guess, to whom would you recommend seeing this? Like, and would you say see it in theaters or wait for streaming?
Oh, you can wait for streaming. And I would only really recommend for Marvel completists. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you're saying, I have to watch every Marvel movie to fit pieces and get answers to certain things or whatever your raison d'etre
Mm-hmm.
is your completist, then yeah, you watch this movie. Anyone else, this is something you can skip.
Yeah. No, yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. I don't I think the visuals were decent. Um yeah, the visuals were fine. But I think you can watch it at home and yeah, only really if you watch all the Marvel stuff. It's not one like I always think of, for instance, my mom is someone who she doesn't watch all the Marvel stuff, but I'll tell her like, "Oh, this one's for you. Watch Agatha, watch Ms. Marvel, watch Loki." But I'm not going to tell her to watch this one.
Right.
Just a few production notes on this side of the spoiler block. So, the director was Julius Ona, and he's also the only other thing of his that I've seen is the Cloverfield Paradox, which was also woof, even worse, I would say. So, um, I think though what really went wrong, you can see on the writing credit side. So the story by credits go to first to Rob Edwards, and Edwards is known for writing like episodes of Fresh Prince, the movies The Princess and the Frog and Treasure Planet. Like he is someone I really believe in him. He's a proven entity in the world of writing. And then the story by is also there's a team of two, Malcolm Spellman and Dallin Muson, who both worked on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That makes sense. Okay, that all makes sense. So that's the story by credits. The screenplay by credits is the three of those with two names officially added. Julius Ona, the director's name, and Peter Glantz, and it also there was reports that Matthew Orton joined for reshoots too. And I think that this last part is where things went wrong. Is that
Mm.
they were just. I'm sure that the original three writers gave them something of depth to chew on, and then they were told to gut it, and they did gut it. And I have to note, I think most of those names I said are all black men, except the last two, which are white men. And I feel like there's just a general we have to tone it all down. We have to tone it all down. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's why I wanted to get into once we get
Yeah.
into the spoilers.
Once we get into the plot,
There's
yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so the Rotten Tomato score is for critics it's 49%, for the audience it's 80%, which I'm honestly surprised by because I haven't heard really many raves. I've heard some people who just love it, but those tend to be the people who are like, "It's great. We have another Marvel movie. Aren't we happy?" You're like, "Okay, fair."
You for that, but what I've heard from people that it's not. No one is saying it's terrible.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's a passable movie.
It's just
But for me, I want Black Captain America to be more than just a passable movie.
mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and Metacritic, that site isn't so kind. So it's 42 from critics and 4.7 from audiences. So, and that's out of 10, of course. So yeah, this has been out just over a week, and it's already got a box office of 210 million as of the 21st of February. That was. So we'll see what happens in the second weekend. There's been some mediocre word of mouth. Will that mean a slump? But yeah, Deadline Hollywood reported that the film needs to make 425 million worldwide to break even, because the reported budget is 180 million, but then there's all those marketing costs and everything on top of that. So I don't know. What do you think? How do you think it's going to do this weekend as we're recording?
I don't know if it's gonna hit the mark
Mm-hmm.
worldwide because there's what's the the Chinese film that
Oh, there's Neja
yes
2. Mm-hmm.
yes
It's animated film. Mm-hmm.
yeah, the animated film.
The
I
first
think
one made over 1 billion, and yeah.
exactly. So I think that film is going to keep um, this film from doing well in that market,
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
and that will, affect the worldwide intake.
Yeah, that one definitely has better word of mouth, but it's also it's yeah. That one's more for, yeah, I don't know. Is this for kids? I guess so. I guess it's not for
I don't
kids.
know. I don't know if it's for kids. I mean,
Yeah.
it's animated, so yeah, you're probably a lot of kids.
No,
will
I
probably,
mean this one, the Captain America, because
oh
Nature
no,
is for kids.
it's not
Yeah.
for kids.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not a kid movie. No.
But that one does get good word of mouth. Yeah, but this one, I mean, there was lots of production turmoil. You've heard us talking about that for, I don't know, at least a year now, I think. They were definitely ripping pieces out, moving them around for political reasons, or because Kang changed, or because of like the shifting stuff in the Marvel multiverse storyline. Or yeah, there was famously a bad test screening, and then they ended up re-filming like a third of the movie or something. Yeah. Ona, the director, said that the reshoots, the idea was that the original version was too heightened with like the Serpent Society. You know, they had Seth Rollins and Rosa Salazar as members of the Serpent Society, and they decided to make it more grounded. And that's when we got Giancarlo Esposito as Sidewinder. I don't know. I mean, so basically, I was worried about this one going in. I am not worried about Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four the same way. And I think we should keep in mind that the last thing Marvel did was Agatha. So we should take the lesson, give creators more creative control. But yeah, how are you feeling about Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four?
Yeah, we haven't gotten those type of reports for those two projects that we got for this one.
Right.
As far as, reshoots, rewrites,
Mm-hmm.
and reframing and this entire hodgepodge of, let's put this piece here, put this piece there. We're not getting that from about the Thunderbolts or about Fantastic
Mm-hmm.
Four. So that gives me a lot more hope that what you just said, give creators creative control, is actually what they did with those two movies. We can
Yeah.
see the results of not doing that, what happens in a film.
Yeah.
Right? We've already seen what happens when you do that in a TV show. But you can see that in this film, that
Yeah.
way too many cooks were in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there were reports with Daredevil of extensive reshoots, but everything that we've heard about that, it's for the better. You know, like they were just trying to do too much of a different thing instead of just. And now we'll talk about that a lot more. We're going to be covering Daredevil, but just they decided to let's just make this a continuation of the Netflix story that
Right.
people like.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Any more thoughts on the spoiler-free side? Any final thoughts for people who are considering whether to spend time on this?
Nah.
Well,
Nah.
I'll say honestly, you can just listen. Jean and I on the other side of the commercial break, we're going to recap the plot. So if you prefer to experience a story that way, then we got you. we'll be back in just a moment with that. Okay, and we are back. This is the spoiler zone. Spoilers. And just to make it as spoilery as possible, we are about to recap the plot with the help of some amended wiki material. Thank you for saving us a bunch of time. Jean, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So 5 months after Thaddeus Ross is elected president of the United States, he sent Sam Wilson and Joaquin Torres, the new Captain America and Falcon, respectively, to Mexico to stop the illegal sale of classified items stolen by the Serpent Society, a rogue special ops teams led by Sidewinder. They recover the items, but Sidewinder escapes.
Ross invites Wilson and Torres to a summit with world leaders at the White House, and Wilson accepts on the condition that long done wrong Black Captain American prototype Isaiah Bradley is also invited. During the summit, Ross explains that a new metal, adamantium, has been discovered on Celestial Island, which was formed when the Celestial Tiamat emerged in the Indian Ocean in the underrated film Eternals. Everybody watch that instead. The recovered items were the first refined samples of the metal and were stolen from a Japanese mining operation. To avoid an arms race, Ross proposes a treaty to govern adamantium's mining and distribution. As he is talking, the song Mr. Blue plays and causes several men, including Bradley, to begin shooting at Ross and other dignitaries. Apprehended by Ross's head of security, former Black Widow Ruth Batsaraf, the men regain their senses and deny any knowledge of the attack.
While investigating, Sam Wilson is ambushed by Sidewinder and captures him. Torres tracks a call on Sidewinder's phone to a hidden black site in West Virginia called Camp Echo 1. Ross tries to salvage the treaty, but the Japanese government blames him for the theft of their adamantium in the subsequent White House attack. Ross realizes that the mastermind behind these events is Dr. Samuel Stearns, who gained advanced intelligence after being exposed to Bruce Banner's blood during the Abominations rampage through Harlem. That was in the Hulk movie in 2008, 2009.
2008.
Ross imprisoned Stearns at Camp Echo 1, publicly blamed him for the Abominations actions, and promised to release him if Stearns helped him advance to the presidency. Wilson and Torres find Stearns and learn how he used technology and the song Mr. Blue to control minds. He escapes while they are fighting mind-controlled soldiers.
Batsaraf investigates Camp Echo 1 herself and helps Wilson and Torres. Wilson's military friend, comics character Dennis Dunphy, has Sidewinder in custody, and Wilson learns enough from Sidewinder to deduce Stearns' plans to destroy Ross's reputation. Wilson, Torres, and Batsaraf go to Celestial Island, where Ross and the Prime Minister of Japan are racing to claim ownership of adamantium. Stearns controls the minds of 2 American pilots who attack the Japanese fleet, and Wilson and Torres intercept the planes and convince the Japanese to stand down. Torres is critically injured in the fight. Ross tells Wilson that he is dying of heart failure and had Stearns develop pills that have prolonged his life. Ross refused to release Stearns for fear that he would no longer make the pills, leading to Stearns' anger and plans for revenge.
Sam Wilson is consoled by his friend Bucky Barnes. Stern kills Dunphy, who discovered the pills have been adding gamma radiation to Ross's body, and surrenders himself to Wilson. Stern's arrest and connection to Ross are publicly revealed while the latter is at a press conference. Ross loses control of his emotions and transforms into a Red Hulk, destroying part of the White House. Wilson attempts to calm him down by reminding him of visits to Washington, D.C.'s cherry blossom trees with his estranged daughter, Betty. The two fight until they're exhausted and Ross reverts to normal. Later, Bradley is exonerated. Cap invites him and a recovering Torres to join the Avengers, and the treaty is ratified. Ross resigns and has himself incarcerated at the RAF, where Wilson and Betty visit him.
So, we got a couple small pieces of feedback I thought we could use as a framework to begin to talk about this film. So,
Yeah.
we heard from Kevin W. He said, just out of the cinema, you definitely don't need to see it on IMAX. Just shoot him below the shield. I definitely know there's a bigger meaning behind it, but just take the serum. Let's pause there. What did you think about the way the film handled his relationship, the fact that he's not a super soldier Captain America, and his feelings about that?
Yeah, the idea that he shouldn't take the serum that Bucky put out made no sense. It makes no sense to me. Number one, in the comics, Sam Wilson does have a superpower, right? He may not be as strong, but he does have a superpower. He's connected to all sorts of to all winged animals, birds, right? So he's not just a regular human. He is advanced. He is superpowered in that way, which aids him in his fight against other superpowered beings. You know what I mean? So the idea that he shouldn't take the serum, especially when he's not a inventor like Tony Stark is, who can, go into his lab and come up with different forms of armor that will allow him to take on these characters, makes absolutely no sense. He's dependent on others to have any shot of doing anything against these sorts of this sort of level of, problem.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't he take this?
I mean, I found it interesting. I mean, this was much better addressed in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and
Yeah,
I do also find it interesting just to show, that he is at a disadvantage, which they also show through the Isaiah character, just because of racism. He's at a disadvantage in that way, and this is a way to represent it. But I just think they did not handle this discussion at all well in this movie, and even he's like, oh, I should have taken the serum. And like, okay, I don't know. Like, what's the point we're even making with that now?
that there is no point to it,
In
but
a way, yeah. In a way, I'm glad it didn't happen in this movie, though, because I'd rather be handled in another where it's handled better.
that's fair. That's fair. But to even bring it up and to suggest that he shouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
as Bucky claimed, as like some sort of moral play, like to bring hope. Like, what is he, a magical Negro? No.
Mm,
For those who don't understand, when I say magical Negro, is he the black guy that, all of a sudden, drops in and makes white people's, existences make sense, makes them better,
mm,
teaches them a lesson, to make them better people? No, he's a fucking superhero. He should be, you know, he should be a superhero. And if he
mm-hmm.
has the opportunity to, it's like telling Black Panther, don't take the
Right.
heart-shaped herb.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No,
Yeah. No,
no.
it seems really lame and contrived, the fact that he hadn't in this film.
To try to
So,
keep him human
mm-hmm.
as if that makes him more relatable to other
Mm,
humans is
yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, I mean, I do have to say though, I thought his at the beginning, sorry, not adamantium. Now I'm thinking the other metal,
Vibranium.
vibranium. His vibranium wings at the beginning, that was really cool in the way, like, he can
Yes,
fly and also protect himself with
yes,
that was really cool.
absolutely. But now he has to go back to the Wakandans and ask for another suit
Yeah, yeah.
because he can't make them himself.
No, it's true.
That's my whole point. You
Mhm.
know, he is dependent on others.
Mhm.
Whereas, if given the opportunity to become superpowered in order to combat these sorts of villains, these sorts of, superpowered beings, why wouldn't he take it?
Yeah. How would you feel if something like completely different from the comics, if he just sprouted real superpowered wings?
I'm cool with that. Make him a mutant. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I would be
Make him
perfectly
angel.
fine
Yeah.
with it.
Just
I'd be okay with that too. But
hmm
it didn't sit right with me, that whole conversation about
hmm
him not taking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe if they framed it in another way, I would accept it, but I can't accept it the way that it was framed.
Yeah. Okay. So Ken continued, where's Banner? The love of his life is back. And why didn't Bucky stick around? Yeah, we're definitely gonna get into, well, I mean, yeah, what do you think about the fact that Bruce Banner didn't show up?
Again, both of these points that Ken makes about Bucky and
Hmm
Banner were the same things that I was asking
Mm,
throughout the film. Like, why wouldn't this idea that Bucky Barnes, you know, who is effectively in these stories one of his closest friends, right, along
mhm,
with Steve Rogers,
mhm,
sees him fighting a Hulk
mhm.
and says, "Nah, he's got that. He got it.
Mm, yeah.
He's got it."
Yeah, I mean, I think they just didn't want to bring in anyone to detract from Sam, but I think they should have just given Sam a stronger story instead, like, yeah.
But that again, that doesn't hold water for me because just because you're bringing in Bucky or someone else doesn't mean it
Mhm.
distracts. It adds
Right.
to. It can add to, as we've seen in other Marvel
Yeah.
films.
I think they is just kind of shows a lack of confidence.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Ken ends. Anyway, didn't hate it. Just a Marvel movie. Thunderbolts better be good. Ken W.
We have faith
Um,
in Thunderbolts, Ken.
yeah. Yeah, we have faith in Thunderbolts. And Ian said, not much to say. Saw it on the weekend. It's an average film, definitely in the bottom rung of MCU films, but I feel some of the reaction calling it the worst MCU film has been OTT. What do you think? What are your do you have worse MCU films in mind?
I mean, yeah, I don't think it's worse than Thor: Dark World for
I
me.
like Thor: Dark World actually.
I know you
So
do.
yeah. So
We
I think
talked
it's worse
about
than,
this before. I
but
know you do.
I wouldn't even, I mean, there's other ones I'm thinking about, like Quantumania. I don't know. It's like on par with Quantumania and the Thor 4,
Love and Thunder,
Love and Thunder. Yeah.
Ragnarok.
No, Ragnarok is the top one.
I think Ragnarok was a great film, but
Yeah,
Love and
yeah.
Thunder, you know,
Yeah, Love and Thunder's near the bottom, Quantumanium's near the bottom, this one's near the bottom.
I don't think it's worse than Black Widow.
The Black Widow had such great chemistry that places it significantly higher than those other ones I said.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I always would crap on the old Hulk movie, the one that's this is a sequel to, but to be honest, that one's grown on me a little bit.
Agree, agree. For me, it's not at the bottom of my rung. It's not the worst MCU film for me.
It's a contender for being the worst MCU film, but that's a high bar, you know?
Right,
Like in general, I like MCU films, so
right,
it's not
right.
yeah, I've watched worse films within the last week than this one. Just to put it in perspective.
Are you talking about your Oscar preps?
Yeah. Well, now I'm in the extended death race, so yeah, I'm watching like
Oh man, Brutalist, anyone?
I think Brutalist is definitely a better film than this. But
Mm,
it is 3.5 hours long. It is unnecessarily long. Even I know there's a break in the between, but then I was sat there in the theater twiddling my thumb for 15 minutes.
oh gosh.
Anyway. Okay. So I guess we've kind of so Anthony Mackie as Cap, Sam Wilson. I guess we've kind of talked about that. It's not that I don't think he's capable of doing it. I think he was much closer to it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier than in this film to
Mm.
nailing that. Yeah.
I think he nailed what they wanted him to nail. But
Mhm.
my whole thing with Captain America being black, and so Sam is very let's get on with the world as it is,
Mhm.
right? Like I'm a symbol of something that is higher and more dear than the hardships that the people who look like me have gone
Mhm.
through,
Mhm.
right? If this is not my thinking, because MLK was much more radical than people give him credit for, right?
Mhm.
But this is almost making a clear line with, let's say, Malcolm X on one hand, MLK on the other hand, right? With respectability and revolutionary, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like Captain America, Sam Wilson, has bought into the respectability.
Mhm.
Like, I am black, I am Captain America, and I show what this country can be. Despite its faults, I am here.
Right. Right.
Without ever really tackling its faults.
Mhm. Yeah.
When he's talking to Isaiah, and
Mhm.
Isaiah is telling him about the faults of this country, Sam has a look on his face like, yeah, but. There's no yeah, but, my brother.
Mhm.
We can't yeah, but this. You know what I mean? They, you can't just say or behave as if, well, things are better now because look at where I'm at.
Mhm.
Yeah, look at where you're at. But to deny the history, which I feel is being done in the MCU because Rhodey is much the same way as a character.
Mhm.
their blackness is often, to me, not central to their character.
Okay.
So I'm watching Sam and I'm watching Isaiah, and Isaiah's telling him, how can I believe in this country? They kept me in jail for the better part of my life. They experimented on me. They did all these terrible things on me. And Sam was just like, well, yeah, but look at where you're at now. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, it's not look at where you're at now. How do you deal with the things that happen? How do you go forward with those things that happen to people and are still happening to people now?
Mm-hmm.
I remember in the show when he was, I think he went to the bank and he only got the loan because he was Cap, because he was
Right.
Falcon,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is the reality
Right.
that he's almost denying in this film
Mm-hmm.
because he's Captain America.
Yeah. Yeah, and it becomes this, we'll get to the Thaddeus Ross character, but it becomes him like kind of deciding to sell out and suck up to a very questionable president.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes,
Yeah.
not on board. And it's so, and the modern day, the current Sam Wilson in the comics, who is Captain America, is not this.
Hmm.
I have issues with the first two issues of this current run.
Hmm.
I won't get into it right now. I won't get into it. But I got some questions about what direction they're taking Cap in right now. But for the
Mm.
most part, since he's become Captain America in the comics, his blackness has been central to the character.
Hmm.
What it means, what it represents, the hardships that come with being a black Captain America, comes with
Hmm.
being the black Captain America.
Hmm. Yeah.
How do you get past that? How do you get past the history? How do you get past, everything that this country has done to black folk and still wear the flag as your uniform?
Right.
It asks that. This
Hmm.
movie does not ask that.
No.
We don't talk about that. How can
Yeah.
you not talk about it?
I mean, I have a lot of questions because they did a lot of good character work with him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and obviously all this stuff with Isaiah and talking through all these things that you're talking about, but also just showing him at home in Louisiana working on his boat with his sister Sarah. And I'm like, well, where's Sarah? Why are we introducing these other random characters when you already built up,
His
why?
family.
Yeah, his family, and we'll talk about some other characters. I'm just like, what are we even doing here, and why are we not? It just, this should have been a continuation building upon um the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I give Falcon and the Winter Soldier a lot of passes because of all the COVID nonsense that affected it.
Yes.
This film does not get that pass from me.
No, I agree. I agree.
And yet the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, despite all the COVID stuff, was a better story. Was a better, it actually grappled with things. It actually attempted to do some things. And whereas
Like,
this just feels like, how do we connect the dots? We write moments on paper, like we're gonna have Red Hulk show up at the end. How do we connect the dots to get there? And not really thinking about going on on a journey, just like
right.
checking off a list.
And not going on a journey with this character is sacrilegious.
Yeah,
It makes absolutely no sense. How you could have a movie and not do that sort of character exposition
yeah,
is mind-boggling to me.
yeah.
Like, how you don't have that introspection from this character in this time is a major miss. It's a major miss.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just you know a regular MCU movie,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is not some Asgardian coming down. This is not some gamma irradiated monster, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a black man putting on the suit that has the American flag and calling himself Captain America. How
Right.
you don't explore that and what it means to him and to those around him
Hmm.
It's baffling.
Yeah. And he was outshone in his own movie by the new Falcon by Joaquin
Yeah,
Torres, Danny Ramirez. I, I have in the notes, stole the show whenever he was on screen. So is that why they had to hospitalize/sideline him?
I guess. That's funny.
But it's also we see. I guess like the idea is supposed to be that Sam is feeling really protective of Joaquin because Joaquin also is not a superhero. I mean, he's not super powered
Right,
in this.
right,
So he and then this terrible thing happens. Then why are we not? They didn't really explore then how he feels about, like, he was protective of him before that, and then this terrible thing happens to him where he's hospitalized. That didn't pay off in any way in affecting Sam's story arc.
right, right.
It just felt, I don't know, like why did we do that? Like, did you just put him in the hospital so that there's a reason why he doesn't show up in the next whatever? Yeah. And then, yeah, I know we have to talk about Isaiah Bradley, played by Carl Lumbly. So he was, you've talked a bit about him, but he basically is like, I don't want to go back to jail. And then Sam's like coaxes him into going back to jail, and he spends half the movie in jail. So
Do you know how pissed off I was?
yeah,
And this
I
goes
could
back
imagine.
to my talking about who Sam Wilson is in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
How could you tell this man this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that he has to go back to jail.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? Even Captain America, Steve Rogers, was like, "You're not taking my best friend to jail. You got to be like, get the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah.
I'm going on the run with my boy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going on the run with Bucky. Y'all gonna have to take me and him down. What are you
Mm-hmm.
talking about?
Yeah.
You would not let them take Bucky to jail.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Bucky was a murderer. And Captain America, Steve Rogers said, no, you're not doing that to my boy.
Yeah.
And
It
this
just,
Captain America looks at this black man
you have
who
to
has
cooperate.
who was wrongly
Mm-hmm.
incarcerated for decades and experimented on, and looked at him with a straight face and said, "Yeah, man, you really got to go back, man. It's the best thing." What the
Mm-hmm.
fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck?
I mean, he's gone full collaborator in this film, and it feels wrong. Speaking of who he's collaborating with, what did you think of Harrison Ford as Thaddeus Ross/Red Hulk?
I thought he did a good job. I thought he was serviceable in the role. I felt his anger towards Sam Wilson. I felt he was as cantankerous as he should have been. Um, and I thought he did a very good portrayal. I have no problems with Harrison in
Yeah.
this movie.
He by the way, is replacing this role was previously played by William Hurt, who sadly passed away. So he's stepping into this role. And apparently Harrison Ford really, he wanted to do something Marvel. Like, he's the one who's like, let's have a talk and find a role for me. And I think this was a good place to put him. No
Yeah,
complaints about him in this role. But
yeah,
I
not at
do have
all.
complaints about the story they gave him.
Yeah, that's different. He did well with what they gave him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was excited for Liv Tyler to come back as Betty Ross, and she did. But it was just like the whole movie is like, oh, real sad about my daughter, real sad. But we don't even see her until the end. And then there's this whole
Yeah,
clunky thing about the cherry blossoms because they used to go look at the cherry blossoms together, but then they don't go look at the cherry blossoms together. He destroys them instead at the end, and it's just like, uh, uh, okay, okay, sure. Why is this like this? Yeah.
it felt like they were, using the Black Widow song, you know, with Bruce Banner. You know what I mean? Like, as a way to calm him down, like Black Widow,
Hmm.
whatever
Yeah,
she did,
lullaby. Yeah.
yeah, calm
Yeah,
him
the
down.
sun's getting real low. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that felt like what they were trying to set up, but it was terrible. That was of a payoff. It was just downright no good.
Yeah. Yeah, when she didn't even show up until, I don't know. I was like, is it because I know they filmed. There was supposed to be some sort of funeral scene. So was was Thaddeus Ross supposed to die in the original version and they decided not to? And I think
Mm,
it would have been a mistake to kill him off because they haven't even really used Red Hulk properly yet.
right,
Like,
right.
he's supposed to be verbal and stuff, and he hasn't gotten
Yeah,
there at this point.
he's not a mindless creature. He's smart.
Hmm.
He
Yeah,
retains everything that Thaddeus Ross has as far as mental capacity. He's able to speak. He's able to strategize. He's Thaddeus Ross, but just a Hulk.
yeah, yeah. And I don't mind him starting out in this way because it's his first transformation, and he's confused and enraged, and it doesn't have control of his feelings. But then you need to get him there, and then yeah, it
Why
just
wasn't
felt
Betty
so
there?
like, hmm?
Why wasn't Betty the one
Yeah,
standing in front of him, telling him to
yeah,
calm down? That made no
exactly.
sense.
Exactly. And I guess it must have been because of reshoots or something, because it just felt so pasted on at the end where she finally shows up. And then we
Right,
have this phone call where I'm like, well, that must be because she wasn't available for reshoots, so they just had to
right.
literally phone it in.
Like
Um
she should have been the one in the middle of
yeah.
the street saying, "Dad, calm down, please. I love you."
Yeah.
All of that stuff, all that good stuff that you expect. And
Yeah.
we got him talking to Sam, and Sam was the one that calmed him down. I mean, come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
He hates Sam Wilson. He hates what Sam Wilson stands for. He
Mhm.
hates that Sam Wilson is Captain America.
Mhm.
He hates it.
And there should
But
be
Sam
some
Wilson in the Captain America suit is the one that calms him down? No.
yeah. And there should be some exploration of him. He also hates Bruce Banner. He hates the Hulk. He hates what all that stands for. And should be some grappling of him becoming the thing that he hates.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, none of that.
but they set something up that I guess is supposed to pay off in future movies. He asked Will Sam Wilson to help him reform the Avengers. Where do you think that plot line's going to lead?
Nowhere. Because I don't think Sam Wilson is going to be the one who reforms the Avengers.
No, I mean,
No.
who do you think will be then?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not confident in their ability to give Sam Wilson a strong leading role.
I mean, I think the plan is to have him do that. Whether they execute on a higher level remains to be seen. Because yeah, we know he's going to be in the next two Avengers movies, Doomsday and Secret Wars.
Well, they have to do a whole drastic change
Yeah.
to get him to be the leader that they want him to be,
Mm.
because I don't see it from this movie.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think the Thunderbolts, that's named after Thunderbolt Ross. That's a nickname of Thaddeus Ross, but I guess not in this world. Or there's the asterisks on the Thunderbolts title, and they said in the trailer like, "Oh, we can't use that name." So does that have something to do with this? I'm wondering. That's not going to become the Dark Avengers, is it?
Um,
With the Bucky
I don't.
crossover?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I don't see how there are kind of villainous characters on the Thunderbolts roster,
Mm-hmm.
but not the entire roster. Like
Mm.
Dark Avengers, they were all villainous.
Right. Right.
They were all villains
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
So
No, I
I
think
don't
these are
know.
all anti-heroes, but yeah.
Yeah, who do you think is going to be on Sam Wilson's Avengers?
Um, I mean, but that's the thing. Like, so is it gonna be like they bring Scarlet Witch back, but then I don't know.
All right, so
Does it make
yeah,
sense to have Sam Wilson as the leader of like
oh,
Wanda and Vision?
that's what I'm saying. So let me give you
Yeah.
some names. Let me give you some characters. That you tell me yes
Uh-huh.
or no.
Okay.
Fal-
Falcon, of course, yeah.
Okay. Ant-Man,
Yeah. I mean they made references to him in this movie.
Captain Marvel.
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess she's always like she just shows up when she wants to show up. I don't even know if she's a full Avenger.
All right, but will she be a full Avenger? That's what I'm asking.
For when they need a Deus Ex Machina.
When
Yeah.
oh man, you're very contrarian. Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I think so. Although I'm still hoping for a West Coast Avengers, which maybe, yeah, I don't know. I mean, because I still, Shang-Chi's out in San Francisco, and we have Vision's going to be out there, Wonder Man's going to be out there. I want a West Coast Avengers.
Shuri.
Yeah. Shuri, yeah, sure, why not?
Banner.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. At least they already have a relation. They know each other,
Star-Lord.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Rhodey. War Machine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Spidey.
And Ironheart? No, Ironheart's got to be in Young Avengers. Yeah.
What about Spidey?
Spidey. I think I would rather see Spidey in Young Avengers or with the Defenders.
What about Daredevil?
I mean, again, I think Defenders will be a separate team.
Okay, so you think so? Right now, you would say Ant-Man, Falcon, Banner,
Shuri.
and Shuri. Definites.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know because I like the idea of them having different teams, but I don't know. Maybe they'll introduce some more. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What about you?
I can see Banner. I can see Rhodey. I can
hmm
see um, Falcon, of course. Um, Ant-Man, and I can see Carol.
Yeah. 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 They're keeping it classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could also envision a world where after Vision Quest, we get Vision Scarlet Witch.
Mm. Yeah. But I want them to be West Coast Avengers. West Coast Avengers. But although eventually that dissolves too. All right. This is a good spot to take a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to talk about the other characters and major moments. Be right back. Okay, so this brings us to I'm sad to report that there are basically two major female characters, and they are both the ones that I immediately thought of when you said, why was she even there? So
Yes.
we're talking about Ruth Batsaraf, played by Shira Haas, and Layla Taylor, played by Zosha Rokamore. And which one did you mean?
Ruth Bat Sharaf.
Okay. So,
I
yeah. In the comics. Mhm.
Confusion.
Yeah, in the comics, she plays a mutant. She's a
Yes.
mutant.
She's a
And they
mutant
made
in
her
the
a Black Widow here. Probably, again, she's another character that was severely cut down upon because she's an Israeli character with Mossad connections in the comics, and they're like too controversial. Um, so they just, I feel like they didn't know much what to do with her anymore.
I whether they knew what to do with her or not, I question why she's in the movie at all, period. Even
Mm,
before. I'm like, we get obscure characters all the time, but this felt like that I'm watching this woman on screen, I'm like, what's her purpose?
yeah, yeah.
What does she
She
bring?
plays,
What does she bring to this movie? What does she bring to these characters? What is she bringing out of them? What is
yeah.
she? Nothing. There was nothing.
Here's what I think that she plays a mutant, as I said, named Sabra in the comics, and I wonder if this was supposed to be another X-Men seed, and then they decided to back up off of that for various reasons.
They should have backed all the way the fuck up out of here with that because she made no sense in this movie
Mm,
for
yeah.
me.
Yeah. Well, I had also I had the same feeling about the other character, Layla Taylor. She was just
Who is
it
she?
seemed yeah, who is she? It just seemed like she and Sam know each other, but she came out of nowhere,
How?
is she supposed to be replacing Maria Hill since they, oh, I just want to say bad words, killed her off in the show that shall not be named, even though I named it earlier.
Yeah.
Um, it seems so like she must have had a purpose that they cut down
Yeah,
upon, which is like,
what's the purpose though? What's her relationship to Sam? How did
hmm
she get to where she's at? Why is she agreeing to work with him? Like,
hmm
there's so many things that went unanswered, unexplained, and you know, if you're gonna do that to characters, don't put them in the film.
yeah, yeah, and it's also it comes back to like why, because then they're saying they don't have room for other characters. Like originally Elijah Bradley,
Right.
who is Isaiah's grandson, who we met in Falcon and the Winter
Thank you.
Soldier, and I'm waiting for them to set up for Young Avengers, these Patriots. Um, why give this screen time to a nothing character that does nothing and seems to play no role instead of building up a character you already have?
You're already established, right? That people are familiar with.
Maybe they didn't want to cut the only two female characters, but again, I point to Sam's sister Sarah. Where is she?
Right, right.
And Maria, bring her back from the dead. Give me, LMD Maria, life model decoy Robo Maria.
Agree.
Yeah. So, okay, are the other major characters are the two baddies. We have Giancarlo Esposito as Seth Volker or Sidewinder, and Tim Blake Nelson back from the Incredible Hulk movie as Samuel Stearns, aka the leader. Let's start with Sidewinder. He was kind of like the last addition to this film during the reshoots. And he was just sort of like
Unnecessary.
they were going to do the whole comic Serpent Society thing, and then they decided like, okay, actually it's too heightened, as I said. I quoted the director saying, so let's just have Sidewinder be this more grounded version. Did that
Unnecessary.
work?
No,
Hmm.
it did not. And not because Giancarlo is terrible,
No, he's always
because the
great. Yeah,
character is terrible.
yeah,
There's no there's no reason for the character to exist in this movie. Another character. What's the purpose?
yeah.
To
What's
give
the
up
point of?
where
Yeah,
Samuel Stearns is? That's the whole purpose of this guy.
yeah,
Just to tell Sam where to find Samuel Stearns.
right. That's true.
We could do better for Giancarlo in any movie.
Hmm.
Give him something more meaty to.
Yeah,
If you're gonna use the Serpent Society, then use them. Don't give me this bullshit.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess yeah, I guess they wanted to have the tone of Winter Soldier, this grounded tone of espionage, but then don't make comparisons to Winter Soldier and then
Do
unless you're
this.
really feeling good about your film, you know?
Right. Don't make those comparisons and then do this.
Right, right. And there's some people I heard people speculating that they added Sidewinder because the leader just wasn't like popping as a villain. So when he was introduced, the leader was at first kept in shadow, like Count Orlok was in Nosferatu, but which I thought was a wise move. But then, can I ask, did your theater respond when he was revealed? When we first
Nope.
saw the brain thing,
Nope.
my theater burst into laughter.
Yeah, it was the hell is that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was that bad personally, but it was just I don't know. Yeah, they had other designs that were made into toys, so I don't
They
know.
might have should have used the other designs.
Yeah, the other designs looks more like the comic book where he just has like a
Right,
really
exactly.
big forehead and hair, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And this looks just like stupid.
yeah. I mean, I'm kinder to it, but yeah, I must say that the response that was one of the few times that there was any response in my theater, and I didn't feel like it was in support thereof. Yeah. But the best response that I did get in my theater was when Bucky showed up. Although I have
Yeah.
to say, but the time Bucky showed up, I was getting frustrated before that because by this time they've already revealed that this is about mind control, and I'm like, how is nobody mentioning Bucky? This is a sequel to a story where he was a central character, and a huge part of it is about mind control.
Or the
And
Red
now
Room.
yeah,
Because there's a Black Widow literally in the movie.
right. Right. Yeah. But on the plus side, well, I mean, first of all, okay, let's take a minute to So Bucky was like the biggest surprise, I think, of the entire film.
And it was a disappointment.
It was the highlight, but yeah, it was like,
It was, you could say it's the highlight, but it's also the disappointment.
mm-hmm.
Like,
It's a disappointment that it's the highlight.
yes. And also that he wasn't used really.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to what we said earlier. Where were these guys when, you know, he's fighting for his life here? He's
Yeah.
like, oh, I got a campaign speech to do in North Dakota while Sam is in Washington, D.C. fighting for his life. Come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Um, we did though finally get recognition of Celestial Island. We've been waiting for that since the Eternals. So that's again where in Eternals there was the Celestial Tiamat. We found out that every planet is basically kind of like an egg for a celestial, and people live on it, and our energy of being alive powers them until basically they're ready to hatch, destroying the planet and everyone on it, and a new celestial is born. But the Celestials think that's for the greater good. So, and then, yeah, they ended up killing him in Eternals, but as he was emerging, so we end up basically with this part of a head and a hand reaching out of the Indian Ocean, which is why Japan and India are the ones fighting with the US over adamantium. Um, what did you think about this whole Celestial Island and how it was used in this film?
Yeah, I'm just glad that we got a recognition of the fact that there's a big hand sticking out of the ocean on the planet Earth, a new mountain range, or whatever, however you want to call it. I'm just happy that they finally admitted it. As far as the claim that adamantium is stronger than vibranium, I think it does a nice um, setup to have Wakanda and the other countries of the
Hmm.
world on an arms race. Um, so that was, I noted that when Ross said it. Um, and I thought it was a perfectly fine, bit of storytelling to use that as a conflict point. It made sense to me.
Mm. So, about adamantium. So if I mean, the fact that Tiamat the Celestial turned into adamantium when he died, I think has something to do with Cersei's like matter changing properties. I
Yeah.
don't, or is it that there are other dead Celestials out there who created adamantium elsewhere in the universe?
I don't, no, I don't think so. I don't know. That's a good
But
question.
like, because at one point, for example, we see Thanos. He breaks Cap's shield with his sword. Could that have been adamantium in his sword from somewhere else?
Mm, that's a good question. I never thought about it.
Because if it's out there somewhere, it could pop up again. But I don't know. I don't even know if they've thought of it, to be honest. So,
Yeah, I don't think in that
mm,
movie they were giving thought to
no,
the future.
right.
I don't think the Russos thought they would be back.
Hmm. Yeah. Um. Another. So this whole fight at Celestial Island was another moment where it felt so patchwork because was it just me, or did you at all think it was weird when Falcon went down, when Joaquin Torres went down? There was like it was like there's this weird. Sam was like, "I'm gonna save him," and then they're like, "No, you, we'll get him. You have to keep fighting." He's like, "Okay," and then there's like this weird cut to him already being helped in the water, and I don't know. It just felt like something weird
It was
was cut
missing
out or
from the.
changed there. Yeah,
I didn't pick it up when I saw it, but when you said it, I kind of picked up on it. But in the moment, I did not.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Not much to say about it. Just like see the stitching from the Franken movie
I
that,
thought
you
the
know.
I thought the flying sequences were really well done, though.
Hmm. Overall, I thought the flying sequences were much better because that was the VFX department. I
Yeah,
was not impressed by the fight choreo in this movie. Like it felt so stagey, all the fight scenes on the grounds for me.
yeah, I was okay with it. I didn't
Hmm.
think they were poorly done.
I mean, they were
I thought
competently
they were
done,
fun.
but
I
they're
thought
just like
the final conflict was fun.
okay. So yeah, let's talk about that cherry blossom clash at the end.
Besides that, the imagery, just the
Hmm.
fight between the two of them,
Yeah,
I thought it was fun. It was sufficient comic book
yeah.
flair for me.
The
Like
last fight, I think, was the best one for me.
I was comic booked out, and I was like, yeah, this is what it's supposed to be like. So I was
Mm,
happy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was the final fight was fine for me. It was the earlier on the ground fights where I really felt like you could hear them going like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I grab you here, and then you know. For me, I just saw the choreography.
Uh,
um, I don't know. I guess so. That brings us to the final jail scene. They're on the raft, which, in case anyone doesn't remember, this is like this superhero jail that's out in the middle of the ocean, and we've seen it turn up various times. We've seen a number of our heroes spend some time there, so they make some jokes to that in this as well. Like after Civil War, and also it was in Black Widow. So yeah, we talked about the Liv Tyler thing. And then we now have Red Hulk, we have Ross kept there. I guess that's another reason, like, oh, well, he won't be in the next film because he's on the raft.
but Red Hulk could be on the next Avengers team. Now I think about it,
Mm.
he could be because Sam seems to
I
like
mean,
him.
we
So
we still have we still have the Bruce Banner. Why
he
wouldn't
called
he?
him. What do you call him? Yes, sir, Mr. President. The fuck out of here, Sam Wilson. The fuck is wrong with you? Excuse my language. I'm sorry. It pissed
Yeah.
me off. Hey, yes, sir, Mr. President. What the hell is wrong with this Sam? With this guy?
So, and we got in the credit scene. There was one credit scene, and it was Sam Wilson in visiting Stearns, the leader, who's now imprisoned again. And Stearns warns him there's an attack coming from other worlds, which I think is an interesting way to frame it as an attack. What did you think of the credit scene?
Yeah, it did nothing that I didn't already know they were planning on doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't add to anything for me. No,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it didn't add in. Like
No,
if
it
you're in
felt
tune with
like
Marvel, and maybe if you're not in tune with Marvel and you don't read about what they're planning, the next movies, blah blah blah, this would be like, oh, okay, attack. Who's attacking? But for me, it was just like yawn.
yeah, that's the thing about the whole movie. It was just milk toast. Yawn. Yeah. Well, any final we've been harsh on this one, but
Yeah, I'm
I
okay with
mean,
being harsh on it because it
yeah,
should have been better.
it should have been better. And they were billing it as, "Oh, this is the start of something new." I'm like, "I hope not. I hope this is the end of that,
Of
kind of
this, right,
mediocre stream of movies that we've been
right.
string of movies we've been getting." Yeah. Um, but on the more exciting side, we are both looking forward to our Daredevil coverage plans.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
In a week,
So,
the first two
yeah.
episodes drop.
Yeah, first 2 episodes drop on Tuesday, March 4th. And so you and I we're recording a prep episode that's going to be on the subscriber feeds on Patreon and Supercast, and we're going to be talking through basically what came before in the Netflix Defenders Verse series, where this version of Daredevil and Fisk and etc. come from. Um, and then on the public feed, we're going to be covering Daredevil sporadically. We're going to be doing a response to the first 2 episodes for sure, and then coming back every couple, 2 or 3 episodes probably to check in on this series. How's your hype level on Daredevil?
Yeah, I'm super duper hyped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I'm slightly dulled in my hype by this film, but I just have to keep remembering, like, Agatha. They do better
Right,
at TV.
right.
um, And yeah, so subscribers, you have that Daredevil Born Again prep ep coming, but also watch out for upcoming Second Breakfast and Elevensies episodes with Lynch's Eraserhead, the subject of this month's Elevensies. And then, yeah, Jana, you and I were discussing it's a little busy right now, and I need to catch up on your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So we're going to be checking in. We're going to be talking about that first season in early March. But you liked it a lot, right? I'm halfway through.
I did, and I was skeptical of it going in.
Hmm.
I really, really enjoyed it. My 8-year-old really, really enjoyed it, so that made it even higher, put it even higher on my enjoyment list. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm about halfway through the season because they just dropped it too fast. They dropped like 3 episodes a week. Um, and yeah, I'm deep in Oscar season and stuff. But yeah, I'm quite happy so far. I'm having a good time halfway through.
Yeah.
So looking forward to finishing up. And yeah, so as I mentioned, I'm deep in the Oscar coverage, wrapping up this week with the ceremony is Sunday, March 2nd. So, in case you've missed that series, me and a slew of specialized guests have been walking you through everything about what's competing, who's expected to win, and plenty of ideas for what movies you might want to watch on your own watch list, as well as the controversies and questions of this season and everything else that's going on. And also, meantime, already warming up for our Wheel of Time coverage. That's going to be John and I. So there's a spoiler cast out with a response to the first full trailer. If you missed that, but do check out if you haven't seen it yet. Amazon Prime released the first 10 minutes of the third season. You can find that on Prime or on YouTube. And yeah, it goes hard. Did you get a chance to watch that yet?
I didn't watch it.
Mm,
I I kind of like don't want to watch it because I want to be
okay.
surprised when I
Yeah,
eventually start the series. But I'm probably going to give in before the series starts.
yeah. Yeah, that one is dropping 3 episodes on March 13th. Ugh, Amazon in there. 3 episodes and then one a week after that. And we're going to be covering it weekly. But so that starts March 13th, but there is an online fan event that Amazon Prime's putting on where you can watch the first episode March 8th. But you need to go RSVP while you still can. So Google Wheel of Time Prime fan event if you want to watch it the first episode a week early. And then, of course, check out the link tree in the show notes where you can find links to all of the Supercast Patreon stuff. Also, Wool Shift Dust, where we just finished up Silo going into Dune, the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast. Radioactive Ramblings is doing Invincible coverage right now, another show I need to catch up on. I
Yeah,
hear
you do.
good things about the season, although apparently Mark's being annoying. And never mind the music. Speaking of different Mark,
19.
is
19.
and there's also a separate Severance feed, which I know lots of you have been finding because there's been lots of chatter about that. Lorehound subscribers, in addition to all the other stuff I mentioned, get separate extra Severance episodes, deep diving into some of like the psychological concepts and stuff. But there's also a discounted season pass for anyone who's not a subscriber who just wants to pay $5 for access to these extra Severance episodes. So all that in the link tree in the show notes, and also a link to the Discord where Jean and I are both very active.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will answer questions.
And you're dropping your weekly comic book recommendations.
Yeah, after we record today, I'm gonna drop for this week's polls.
Okay. Yeah, and you'll find their undercurrent shows now. It's usually under franchises. If you're listening as we're recording this or as we're releasing this, it's undercurrent shows, Marvel section. There's chats under there for this movie, Captain America, and for the upcoming Daredevil show. So you can chat about everything there. And yeah, we want your feedback in general. So, please send your Marvel thoughts about this movie, about Daredevil to MCU@thelorehounds.com. And also general thoughts can go to lorehounds@thelorehounds.com. But do you have any final thoughts on
No,
Captain America
again,
and what's coming up?
let us know when you guys watch it on streaming how you feel about the flick. How you feel about the movie? As soon as you watch it on streaming, VOD, let us know.
All right. As always, I'm going to shout out our lore masters and Discord server boosters. And this time I'm pulling from the Epic folder. No idea what's coming, but it's called Bully. Here we go.
Oh, Lord.
Thank you to our Discord server boosters, Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Dork of the Ninjas, Doob71, Athena Ajalea, Tina, The Stew, Nancy M, Ghost of Perdition, Radioactive Richard. Thank you most especially to our subscribers, to our Lorehounds, and to most of all to our Lore Masters, our highest tier of subscribers. We shout them out every episode, and their names are Samartian, Michael G, Michelle E, Brian P, SC, Peter OH, Bettina W, Adam S, Nancy M, Doob71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Gareth C, Matthew M, Sarah M, DJ Miwa, Andra B, Kwang Yu, Jedi Bob, Nathan T, Alex V, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dali V, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Listu, Jeffrey B, Elysia U, Neil F, Ben B, Scott F, Stephen N, Julia F, Carly S, Ilmariel, and always last, Adrian. And Jean, do you have any final words before we go?
Kevin Feige, Black Panther, recast, Damson Idris is your guy.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by The Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities.
Hey everyone, David here. Severance is back. The Lorehounds are partnering with Properly Howard to bring you in-depth weekly coverage of Season 2. Join me, John, Anthony, and Steve as we unpack every twist, theory, and revelation. We've created a dedicated feed just for our Severance coverage. Simply search for Severance Lorehounds in your podcast app, or find the direct link in our link tree. Our weekly episodes dig deep into the show's mysteries, themes, and bigger questions about identity and consciousness that makes Severance so compelling. Season Pass and regular community subscribers get ad-free access to our weekly episodes, plus exclusive content like our Supply Closet bonus series, featuring fascinating conversations with experts like the team from Nevermind the Music. We've explored the neuroscience of memory and personality, decoded the hidden meanings in the show's musical themes, and there's much more to come. You'll also get Steve and Anthony's complete Season 1 rewatch series. We believe in total transparency with our listeners, and unlike mammalians nurturable, we're happy to share all of our secrets. Find the link for the Severance feed in the show notes below, or search Severance Lorehounds wherever you get your podcasts. Come theorize with us about what's really happening at Lumos.